welcome to our webinar today on healthcare food service solutions. We are happy that you could join us, and we have a great agenda of things to share with you today. We recently had the opportunity to attend the Good to Best show down in San Diego, put on by DM&A and Web Design, and hopefully we had a chance to meet with some of the folks that are on our webinar today. It's always a great chance to get down there and see what's new in the healthcare food service marketplace. In addition, we recently saw an article in the New York Times that federal officials are proposing sweeping new requirements for healthcare facilities, requiring the facilities to update their emergency and disaster preparedness plans. So we've had quite a bit of feedback from the folks we've been dealing with in the marketplace that this is, of course, of great concern, and the requirement is to spend more time and money and staff to pull up your existing disaster preparedness plan and make sure that it's up to date. As of right now, the main focus has been on backup power and water for the healthcare facility, but I think it's just a matter of time until it also affects the food service side. So we will keep you up to date on what's going on with that new requirement and how we can be of service in helping you to have a emergency food service solution. But first of all, today's presenters. My name is Ralph Goldbeck. I am an architect by trade and have been in the food service industry for 26 years or more. I am one of 3 partners for Kitchens to Go and Carlin Manufacturing. And joining me today is Carrie Franz. Carrie?
Thank you, Ralph. As Ralph said, my name is Carrie Franz, and I've been in the food service industry for over 20 years, various aspects to include institutional food service, retail, and even catering. And then these last 5 years, I have been fortunate enough to be here at Kitchens to Go, leading our sales team.
Speaking of Kitchens to Go, this webinar today is being sponsored by Kitchens to Go. Kitchens to Go is an industry leader in mobile and modular food service solutions. We've been in the non-commercial food service hospitality industry since 1999. Our affiliated company, Carlin Manufacturing, who builds all of our kitchens, was the recipient of the 2012 NRA Kitchen Innovation Award for its bolt-on kitchen program. So you'll see a theme today with modular prefabricated kitchens and how they can be of service for your healthcare food service industry.
So just to give you an idea of what we're hoping to cover today with our agenda, our first question is we're going to define what is a temporary kitchen. Secondly, we're going to talk about options for temporary food service. Third, we will go through the planning, the approvals, the timeline, and the costs involved in doing a temporary food service project, the benefits of choosing that solution over the others, and then we're going to get into some temporary kitchen solutions in action. And those are some great photographs of projects that either are ongoing or we have done recently. And at the end, we will have time for questions. At any point during our presentation, if you have a question, feel free to type it in to the box, and we will address those questions at the end of the presentation. So our first agenda item is what is a temporary kitchen? And these are full turnkey culinary units. They are production kitchens. They can also be dishwash facilities, prep units, anything that is needed for the project. They are used to replace or supplement existing facilities if there's a closure, a renovation, an expansion, or even disaster recovery. And they are scalable based upon the volume and demands, meaning whatever is needed, size and space-wise.
Terry shared what a temporary kitchen is. What type of solutions are available for temporary kitchens, or interim kitchens as we also like to call them? Well, first of all, we have mobile solutions. Those are typically for a short-term application, generally anywhere from 1 to 6 months of need. They're ideal for a quick response in response to disaster response and relief. If you have an unplanned renovation due to a fire, we can roll out a mobile unit in as quick as 24 hours. If you have a longer-term program, 6 months or more, we would suggest a modular solution. Modulars are designed so you have nice, open, clear span interior space. They're much better for increased capacity, and they can also be put in place to meet the needs of a disaster recovery program. In addition, we can provide kitchens in containers. You'll see an application a bit later in the presentation today for a program that we did at the NYU Medical Center that was addressed with a containerized solution, and then also a bolt-on. I mentioned earlier that Carlin was the recipient of the NRA Innovation Award for its bolt-on program, which is actually a prefabricated commercial kitchen facility that is delivered to the site and bolted on to an existing open dining space. So a number of different types of solutions that are available to meet your temporary kitchen requirements. In addition to kitchens, we can also provide support equipment such as cold and dry storage, tray line assembly, dishwash units, as you can see in the photo at the top there, dining facilities, toilets and locker rooms for your staff or your customers, office space, and in some cases even trash rooms and complete power generation and distribution. So in addition to just the food service production areas themselves, we can provide support units to meet their needs.
So next we want to address the facts, the planning, the preparation, and the investment that is required for a temporary kitchen. The first is the planning, and as in anything, the earliest you plan, the longer your planning period, the more efficient your operation will flow. So we suggest starting as early as possible, even if we're talking 2 years out. If you know you're going to need a renovation, it's never too soon to start to gather the information and understand the process. But a general timeline goes, programming and design is 1 to 4 weeks, and that is us coming out to your site, to your hospital, to your medical center to determine what you're currently using and what you need for the temporary period. And so that gives us time to do drawings and work with you on your equipment and come up with a program for you. Code approvals, depending on the jurisdiction, can be anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. And Ralph will address it a little later, but we do provide all the information needed for you to go to your municipality and get those approvals and those permits. Production, that can be us readying units for you, putting the equipment mix into our units that you need for your menu. And delivery and installation, 1 to 5 weeks. Again, as you saw that food truck up on one of the earlier slides, something like that, we can bring it in and have it going in, a day or 2 or 3. Some of the more complex complexes take longer to install. If we are, in fact, erecting a sprung dining structure, something with it, we need a longer period of time. So anywhere between 1 and 4 weeks. And then testing and training. One of the services that we provide is that we will have our technicians out to not only fire up all that equipment and make sure that once it is set in place that it is working, we also will train your staff so that they are comfortable and ready to move into their temporary kitchen home for the period of the project. We want to make sure that they are comfortable, that you are comfortable, so we will take as much time as needed in that testing and training period. So that if you add that up, we end up with 5 to 18 weeks depending on the extent of the project. And that, of course, is when we have all the time in the world to plan. In those cases of emergency or disaster, we can actually have a unit on the road in anywhere from 24 to 48 hours if it's a mobile unit, getting it on the road to react to a fire, a tornado, or hurricane, whatever is necessary.
Thanks, Carrie. As Carrie mentioned, one of the key components of the general timeline has to do with code approvals, which are extremely important. The code approvals for a temporary kitchen facility are very similar to what you would experience with a fixed site belt facility. We have to go through your local environmental health department, and we can provide a complete set of drawings that your team can use to secure those approvals. In addition, you'll need to receive state, county, and or city building department approval, just like you would with a regular building. We have a complete staff of engineers and architects on board at Kitchens to Go that provide our drawing package that we will give to your team, and then we will provide assistance as necessary to help secure the approvals for your program.
So one of the questions that's always asked early in the planning is the investment. What are the costs? What are we going to need to do to make this happen? So again, it very much depends upon how large the complex is, but we do break the cost into kind of three different areas. One is the monthly cost, and that is a monthly lease price to use our equipment. And again, a cook unit is a little more extensive than a prep unit, so the price for that is higher, whereas a prep unit that is pretty much an empty module will be a little less expensive. A dishwasher unit, again, depending if it has what kind of a dishwasher it has, if it has a flight washer in it, if it has just a 3-tank, it will depend upon the price for that. We also, in that monthly cost, we put any walk-in cold storage and any dining space, whether that be modular or that be sprung structures. So we put together the complex that is needed and come up with a monthly cost. In addition to that monthly cost, and separate, are the one-time charges. And one piece of that is the freight, to bring that to you and then to return it to us at the end of the lease. And we always do our best to have it, come to you and go back to the closest depot for us so that we do our best to minimize that cost. The other part of the one-time charge is that installation and removal, depending how long they're going to be there, how permanently they're set, strapped down, sealed together. Those charges are separate. And then in addition to that, there are times that a purchase makes sense, and so we do have purchase options available. And in those situations where that makes sense is when a program is going to be on site for maybe in excess of 18 months to 2 years. Then you start to get closer to that break-even point of a lease, the monthly lease costing as much as to purchase that. But it really also depends upon if you have an afterlife for the facility. In the situation that you're looking at in this photo, that is a sprung dining structure that is attached to many modules of kitchens, locker rooms, restrooms, and cold storage. This was at a university that once the need for this part of the project was done, they realized that open sprung dining space and those restrooms made a really great place on campus to have some temporary classrooms, to have some special events and that kind of situation. So they did have a purpose or an afterlife for that facility and chose to purchase that portion of it and keep on campus for a while longer. If you have sometimes in a disaster preparedness application, you may have a reason. If it's a mobile unit you're using, it may be that you do have a requirement that you need to have something on site. Or you may choose to be partnering with your local municipality or Red Cross or something that a unit can be shared or used. So in those circumstances, it might make sense to purchase it. And then the final reason, Ralph shared with you the bolt-on program where we bolt that kitchen right onto your facility. That makes sense that you purchase that, and it is then just a factory-made, ready-to-go expansion to your facility. So those are purchases also.
Another key consideration to plan for our utilities. The actual utilities required for a temporary kitchen are similar to what your existing kitchen requires, both with electric, power, water, and gas. The location and availability of utilities can actually drive the location of the temporary kitchen. It may be very expensive to extend substantial utilities out away from your existing facilities. So we try to get the temporary kitchen as close to your existing utilities as possible. In addition to that, of course, the flow of the facility, how it ties into your dining space, are also things that we consider in the planning process. The cost of utilities on a monthly basis will be comparable to what you're currently experiencing as far as your utility costs. We provide temporary kitchens that are available with natural gas and or propane, and even all electric options are available. If you have to locate a kitchen that's near, for say, a oxygen farm at a healthcare facility, we're sensitive to that. We've done projects that have been near an oxygen farm and so could not have an open flame. So utilities are a major consideration and something that we need to take care of in the planning process. The equipment on board a temporary facility is going to be very similar to what you have in your existing kitchen. All of our equipment is commercial grade. It's NSF and US approved, UL approved. We have certified exhaust systems with tempered makeup air and fire suppression systems. We can utilize actually some of your existing equipment if you have specific pieces that you would like to utilize in the temporary kitchen. A number of programs we've done for healthcare, we've actually relocated the existing tray line into the food production area. Your staff is used to working with a certain type of tray line, and therefore it reduces the amount of training required. Or if you're going to purchase new equipment for your new facility, let's say maybe a new tray line, we can actually locate that in the temporary facility until the new kitchen's available, and then we can move that equipment over into your new shiny kitchen. So a number of options for equipment, and we can consider all that through the planning process.
So our next section is weighing your options. What are your choices when your kitchen is going to be closed for renovation or expansion? The first is, which is often brought up by the GCs, is a phased construction. And what we have found from that with our experience is that phased construction can take 2 to 3 times longer than the general construction time. There are increased costs due to the extended general conditions, resources, and anything else. It's just taking longer to do it, so more time costs more money. And one of the big keys is the disruption of the day-to-day operations and what we like to call construction fatigue. In some situations of construction, it isn't as bad to be phasing, but when we're talking kitchens and food and health codes and health departments, it's really frustrating to have this clean plastic between you and someone jackhammering the floor, and then you're preparing food, just on the other side of that plastic sheet. So we find that the temporary kitchen, that's not always a great alternative. The second option is outsourced catering. You can just go out of house and buy your food. It's normally 20 to 30% more than your in-house production, and when food costs are always important in healthcare situations, you don't always have the extra money on the bottom line to do that. In addition, you are losing the control over food safety, quality, and consistency. You are running your kitchen to your standards, and when you have to bring in food from catered sources, you don't have that same control. In addition, you may have to decrease your staff, which can hurt morale. And depending on how long a project may be going on, you could end up losing staff. Not only morale, but they may have to go elsewhere to have a job. So outsourced catering isn't always a great option also. The third option is closing down. And depending on your situation, it may not be an option. If you are a large hospital campus and you have other facilities or other concepts around campus, you may shift some of the work over to them, and it may cause more stress on them by having to increase their operation, and you're decreasing your service to the consumers. And again, if you close down something, you may lose some of your staff as well as morale of the staff that's there. So these are the alternatives, and they're not always positive.
Thanks, Carrie. As Carrie shared, those are the alternatives to using a temporary kitchen. The benefits of using a temporary kitchen is it reduces the downtime compared to the alternatives that Carrie just shared with you. It minimizes the overall length of the program and takes a great deal of the pain out of the process, allows you to maintain good quality control and consistency of your product, keeps your clients engaged, your customers, keeps your staff employed, keeps morale up, and sometimes, especially in healthcare, shutting down your kitchen is just not an option. So a number of options that are available, but we believe, of course, that a temporary kitchen is your best, most cost-effective option. Carrie touched on phasing. We've seen a number of cases where that has been the solution, and it's a very messy solution, a lot of dust, a lot of noise. We've also provided temporary kitchens at correctional facilities, military bases where security is a concern. So it gives you an option to avoiding the phasing process. And there's just certain diets that require more control. You can't bring in outside food if you've got to deal with either religious diets or therapeutic diets, and so it allows you to maintain your operation on campus where you're most comfortable. So you've heard what it takes to plan for a temporary kitchen and what it costs, how much time it takes. We thought we would take a bit of time today and actually show you some temporary kitchen projects in action.
So the first project that we are highlighting is the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. And this project is currently in place in Washington, D.C., and it is near the headquarters of the National Institutes of Health. And it is one of the most prominent U.S. military medical centers in the Washington metro area and the U.S. and has served a number of presidents. So we're very proud to be doing a project there. This particular complex, you're looking at the drawing, and we'll look at some photos in a moment, but this particular complex is over 9,000 square feet, a modular facility. And down towards the bottom of the drawing, those are tables. We have a small dining area. Above the tables is a servery area where consumers can go up, and there's a salad bar, there's grab-and-go areas, there are some stations where they can get food from. And then above that are the kitchen prep areas, and those are designed and kind of turned on an angle so that they can look right out of those areas and see what is needed on those hot and cold lines. So it's a really efficient way to kind of have a show kitchen, but to keep production moving and having great communication. Along the left side, there is also dry storage. Now this is the outside of the dining area, and you can see there's ramps going up into it. This is right in front of the medical center, and it is very close to the front door, and so it serves mostly guests and staff for the hospital, and they are just able to pop right out the front door and head into the dining area. And then this is just a picture of it. You can see we had kind of a tight space there. We had to go right up against that wall. You can see that they were putting down, this was during construction and setup, they were putting down some of the utilities. But we're able to, place these. We can find a place to put them. It may affect the size of them, but I think this just shows a tight spot. But yet we've gotten this whole complex in there without disrupting that wall. And then this is a shot inside. This is what the guests will come up to, and you can see the hotline, and there's some cases and reach-in area, and then there's those doorways going into those kitchen spaces. So this has worked out really well. The project was scheduled to be there for about 6 months, and I think we're going on 9 or 10 now. They are doing phased construction inside the building. And again, an old facility like that, they have come up with some unexpected problems, which happens. And so we still have this available to them until probably the end of May, when they will finally complete their project.
Thanks, Gary. Another program that we put in, it's been a little over 2 years ago, right after Superstorm Sandy tore through the New York area. NYU Medical Center sustained substantial damage. Betty Perez and her operation were subjected to flooding from the river when it exceeded the floodplain, and they lost their cold storage, their dry storage, and a large portion of their kitchen. So we provided 2 8-foot by 40-foot containerized kitchens, and what was a key part of this program is that we actually were able to make use of a roof deck area. As you can imagine, in Manhattan, just off of 30th Street, space is a premium, and so we were able to capture the roof deck of the medical center and put a series of piers in place. Of course, substantial engineering went into this that we had to turn them around rather quickly because this was the disaster response situation. But we captured the roof area. We took the containers, lifted them with a crane, and put them in place. And you can see one of the containers coming down, the 40-footer, and then the other one set right next to it. This facility was able to, once it started up, took about 4.5 weeks to put in. And once it was in operation, you can see an interior shot here. We were able to go from about 250 meals a day all the way up to 800 meals, and was in place for a period of time until Betty could get her existing kitchen rebuilt and back in operation. And I've had a chance to speak with Betty concerning this. Some of you may know Betty. She's a great person, runs a great operation, and we were just happy to be able to be of assistance.
The next project we're going to look at was for a large medical center, Banner Thunderbird in Arizona, and they were building a new emergency department and bed tower, and knew that their construction was going to take about 18 months. So we worked with Julie Spellman and their team and came up with this complex, which fit very nicely on the helicopter pad, or part of, and we expanded, and you know, really offered them a great solution to their problem. On the next photo, you'll see the exterior of this sitting outside the medical center, and on the left you would see our modules, and connected to them are the cold storage units. So from the interior you see no difference. You just open that cold storage door, the freezer door, and you walk right in, and they're very very similar to your permanent situations. The next one shows the other end of this complex, and this is where the utilities are coming out of them, and shows they've got everything they need sitting right there. We gave them, as Ralph had mentioned earlier, the utility requirements, what would be needed, and they were working on that on site while we were readying the units for them. So that once we got to site, the utilities were there, they knew what was coming, and they got hooked up. This is the inside, and obviously they were doing some big, large capacity cooking, so they've got some mighty big kettles there that they are working with. The next photos show some prep, well, one prep area and one dishwash area. And one thing that you might notice on the photo on the left, we use RFP on the walls. They're all washable and obviously easily to clean, but in addition to that, you can write on them in marker, not permanent marker, the dry erase markers. And so you can write notes to the team, you can write a recipe, you can remember to order something. So you'll see that chef has some notes to himself up there. The last photo of this project shows a very unique way. We had a ramp going into the building, and you can see it goes downhill. And to aid those people that are pushing the carts of food into the building, they had these tugs. And so they would fill the carts. They did, in fact, this was a situation where they brought their own tray line in and put into a couple of the modulars. And then as they filled up the hot carts, they were put in and pushed or pulled with this tug and went into the hospital, and then were distributed to patients in that way.
In fact, Carrie, Julie indicated that she even used some of the smooth FRP wall finish in her permanent kitchen when she had a chance to move in because of the marking board capabilities. So just a little detail that I think really helps to allow your team to operate in a very compact, efficient space. So as you've seen, the temporary kitchens that we've done for a number of healthcare food service clients are really a proven and viable solution. This is not an opportunity for you to take off and do something that's not been done in the industry. A number of substantial organizations have utilized temporary kitchens with proven results.
And so in summary today, temporary kitchens are an ideal, cost-effective, and efficient solution for a multitude of food service challenges, namely renovation, remodel, and expansion, new construction, increasing capacity, storage, or volume requirements, or preparing or responding to disaster situations and emergencies. And again, we feel that temporary kitchens are a great alternative to phased construction, outside catering, or closing your kitchen down for that period. We want to let you know also that on our website, on our education tab, we have a webinar tab, and it will be updated today, and we'll have an opportunity for you to see upcoming webinars and register for them, and also we'll have recorded, including this recording as well as other webinars that we have done. So we invite you to check that out on our website. In addition, if you have happened to sit in on this today and feel that it's something that your team would be interested in, or you have a project coming up, we would be more than happy to arrange either a webinar for just you and your team, or even a lunch and learn. We would love to come out to your facility and tour it with you, and then we'll meet with your team, give them this information, and then we even bring lunch. So you'll see my email address on one of these slides. So just please let me know if any of those options are of interest to you or they would be helpful to you and your team.
Thanks, Gary. During the process of the webinar, we've had a number of questions come in, and so I will share those questions with you and hopefully provide some answers. There was a comment that we evidently had some audio issues with the audio cutting in and out. We apologize for that. We'll make a note of that and make sure that at our next webinar that we have a little better connection. First question today was, how do we deal with the health department? As I shared earlier, we will provide a complete set of drawings with a finished schedule, specifications on all the equipment, and the appropriate utility schematics that you can take to your local health department, and typically that is adequate for their review. And if there are any questions that come up, of course, we'd be happy to address those. We have folks on staff that help with that process all the time. So we will help to walk through that program with you and hopefully secure approval through your environmental health department. Next question is, will you folks be at the AHF conference in Orlando? Yes, we will be. We have been proud members of AHF for a number of years, and we will be down in Orlando. We will have staff on board to be there and answer any questions. And in fact, I've got to play in the golf tournament again this year. We're defending champions from last year, so we've got to support our championship. So we'll see you down there. Next question is, can these kitchens be placed next to existing hospital buildings? And I guess the question is how close can we get to an existing structure? That's a great question. It really has to deal with the fire marshal locally and the proximity of the temporary kitchen solutions to the existing buildings. As I mentioned earlier, we have a number of engineers and architects on board that are familiar with the building codes, and part of the programming and planning process is to come down and to find the best location for a temporary kitchen, and then make sure that we have proper building separations, or we have the proper type of building construction, such as a type 2 non-combustible structure or a 1-hour fire separation with rated openings as required to make sure that we meet the requirements of your local fire marshal. So a lot of planning needed up front to make sure that we don't have any surprises once the buildings arrive on site and are being placed into position. Another question is, can we use our existing tray line? Carrie, would you like to address that one?
Sure, I'd be happy to. And the answer to that is yes. We have had situations where an existing tray line is moved into, and we will provide some open modules for that. So we can use that existing tray line, and that way there's no additional cost for that. In addition, we have also had situations where perhaps a new type of service was being moved to by the hospital during this construction project. So we can even take a new tray line that perhaps you're getting for that new permanent facility. It can be purchased earlier, and we can use that in the temporary facility, and that way your staff can get used to using it also. And then once the new kitchen is done, we just will move that over into the new facility, and again, it's a way to save some money as well as get the staff comfortable ahead of time. So either option will work.
Thanks, Carrie. Well, we appreciate all the great questions. And one more just popped in. Have you done any work with Burlage, and do you have any pictures? If you have, can you share them? We have not. I think we've had some conversations, but we'd be happy to post some additional photos of completed projects on our website, and there's a special tab for healthcare food service programs that we've done. So please take some time, if you would, and visit our website that you can see on the screen there, k-t-g.com. And when you're on the site, you'll see an opportunity to sign up for our next webinar, which will be coming up on April the 15th. Seems to be a nice day. It seems like it's tax day. I don't know who scheduled that webinar, but after we write our check to the government, we'll be providing a webinar on mobile and modular food service solutions 101, which is just sort of a standard introduction to the designs required for mobile and modular food service. One other question just popped up. What is the size of a standard module? They really vary in size. They go anywhere from 12 foot by 24 to 12 by 42 to 12 by 56. And then those 12-foot widths can actually be stacked together to form a complex. The modular units are at various sizes and can be scaled as needed. The mobile units are 102 inches wide, which is street legal, by a number of different lengths based upon the size of the kitchen needed. So we have different shapes and sizes available that can fit a number of footprints on your site. So that is the need to get out and walk the site and find out which solution best fits your needs. So please, if you have additional questions, just email them to Carrie, and you can see her email address on the screen, or you can visit our website and send us a request for additional information. Again, thanks for your time this afternoon. We greatly appreciate you joining us, and hopefully we can find a way to work with you in the future. Have a great afternoon.